Yes, quite a lot on the lineup this morning, from the petrol price hike situation to local governance and a lot more. So let's start off with local government issues first, because governance and politics is local, right? Then, of course, we'll move on to the other issues. The Senate recently had to double down, yes, on the Supreme Court's judgment for FG's or LG's financial autonomy, saying, hey, they're noticing some things with state government and this local government autonomy. And they had to say, well, the judgment of the Supreme Court has to be adhered to. But a lot of people thought it's a given, right? The Supreme Court has given a judgment. Everyone and anyone should naturally align. So it shouldn't be an issue. But today we're probing some of the things that the Senate has seen, such that they now have a cause to raise the alarm and say, hey, you need to be watchful of state governors. Is there a tussle for power, or this is all for good governance? We have joining us on the program this morning the senator who raised the alarm on the floor of the Senate, Senator Tony Nwoye, representing Labour Party, Anambra North. Senator, you're welcome to the morning brief.
Thank you, my dear brother. Good morning.
Good morning. Just before we get into that alarm that you raised, and it sort of just reawakened everybody, I'd like to get your thoughts on something very interesting playing out within the PDP, because I know that you were a member of the PDP. You contested up until, I think, 2015, when you contested. Then fast forward, you moved to APC, then Labour Party, but you know the PDP all too well. Now, seeing what is playing out within the PDP, Ambassador Damagum suspended, Senator Anyanwu suspended, even the publicity secretary suspended, national legal advisor, the same thing. I don't know, is this maybe the carcass of PDP we're seeing, or you see a party that is probably trying to recover from those challenges which you probably saw and left the party as a result of?
My brother, you just captured it correctly. I contested under PDP 2013 as a governorship candidate. I was House of Rep member under PDP. I won House of Rep twice, but I was sworn in only once. Even with certificate of return twice. I was governorship candidate of PDP 2013. I did not win. And my brother, Governor Obiano, won me. I came second. I was governorship candidate of APC 2017. I did not win. So I'm not in a position to discuss about the internal affairs of PDP. That is not my interest. It doesn't concern me. I was PDP before. I'm no longer PDP now. But we should emphasize the issue of party or no party. I'm more interested in what happens to the country, to Nigerians, especially people at the grassroots. That is my major occupation. And also the people of Anambra that gave me their mandate to be in the National Assembly. As we said, I was of PDP, I was of APC, and today I'm of Labour Party. So, but that is not my area of interest, special area of interest. My area of interest is how do we deepen democracy? How do we help the people at the grassroots? How do we reduce poverty? How do we tackle the striking case of unemployment in Nigeria that has been rising geometrically, and also the issue of insecurity? That is my major area of concern, not the issue of whether there's crisis in PDP or not. That one doesn't concern me.
Well, clearly, all things have passed away for you, but it's just to reiterate that
yes,
you were a part of the PDP, and I wonder if this is some of the things that you saw that you then left the party. But let's get into the main.
Well, I've not been following keenly.
I know. So let's move into
what is happening there.
I understand. So let's move into the substantive matter. Right, that was just by the way, just as a politician and a member of Nigeria's National Assembly. So you raised the alarm, and I'm quite curious. What did you see that made you raise the alarm on the floor of the Senate? Because the governors will tell you, hey, we're conducting local government elections, and you are seeing these elections playing out. So we're trying to meet the deadline. But for you, you saw something else, and you're raising the alarm. So what is proof tangible enough to show that the governors are not complying or do not plan to comply with the Supreme Court judgment?
My brother, you see, I was talking with empirical facts. I'm a scientist, being a medical doctor by training. So in medicine, it's better for you to prevent a disease than running head-to-head on how to cure the disease. That's why they say prevention is better than cure. Let me give instance. on the case of my own state, Anambra State. Sometimes, maybe 9 days ago, 10 days ago, the governor sent an executive bill where he proposed many provisions. In fact, he proposed 3 different accounts. One, he called it joint account, state local government account. Another one, he called joint consolidated account. Another one, he called joint security trust fund account. 3 accounts for state assembly to pass law. And state assembly just passed it 2 or 3 days ago. They have passed it. What are the laws about? The laws are about how to take this money, siphon this money, take choke of this money. The Supreme Court has already given judgment. So my motion did not center on Anambra State. I didn't mention any state in my motion. My motion centers on the fact that Supreme Court, being a policy court, being the apex court of the land, the court has given a judgment. And by section 287 of 1999 Constitution, every organ, every court, every party in Nigeria is duty bound to obey the judgment of the Supreme Court. And not only that, they gave a direct order to say all the government officials, state government officials, their agents, their privies, then public officers like EFCC, ICPC, and others, although they didn't mention them, but they are part of public officers, are duty bound. That's relief 13. I think the final relief that the Supreme Court gave, Justice Agim Emmanuel, is lead judgment, that they are duty bound to obey this judgment. So what I saw that few state governors have already in flagrant violation of Supreme Court, that what the 7-man panel, 6 men, 1 woman, Justice Iheme Nwosu, Chioma Iheme Nwosu, she's the only female in that panel. What they saw that to happen is already happening by giving an order, by saying no law of state assembly should ever be made or be enacted to circumvent this their judgment. Because they know that few governors they take solace in the fact that siphoning, diverting local government funds is the only thing they think. Let me give instance. I just read a report this morning on my way to studio that monthly federal government spend billions of naira on ecological fund given to state and local government. But I bet you that few states in Nigeria or few local government have not seen the ecological fund. The government collect it, they collect their own, collect that of local government, few government, not all of them. And still, if you go to the IDP camps or refugee camps during the time of flooding, like my own state, Anambra, you see where the children of people, the parents are staying. No doors, no this thing, no ceiling. But what happened, or what is the fate of this money government provides every month from the federation account? Every month, federal government gives money to local government and state, running to billions of naira. Then every month, federal government gives allocation. Every month, federal government gives a lot of money from deduction from tax and VAT. But the one meant for local government, especially the one for the one meant for administration of local government, the governors, not all of them, few of them, kept what you call show. What Justice Adume Moore said, show, just to render local government redundant. Let me tell you, that constitutional provision they are relying upon, section 162, subsection 6 and 7, that say joint local government. No, Supreme Court adjudicate on the matter. Justice Agim and also Justice Adumen, in their own different judgments in the same matter, said no, that based on that provision, that the local government, the state joint account or whatever nomenclature they call it, are just carriers to receive the money. That before 1999, that 774 local governments in Nigeria used to come to Abuja, collect checks for their local government and go back. But the framework of 1999 culture felt that it was cumbersome, logistic and otherwise. Let them now let the state receive, just receive the money and give to local government. But that has not been the case for the past 20 years. And Supreme Court captured it in their judgment. They now say, no, now give it back, give it direct. That section 162, subsection 3 and 5, made it mandatory that the 3 tiers of government, federal, state, and local government, should receive money from the federation account and share. And that there is no joint ownership. Justice Agim Emmanuel, in page 28 of his own judgment, lead judgment, said, this money, there is no joint ownership. Federal has their own, state has their own. Local government has. Imagine President Bola Ahmed Tinubu taking the money of any state in Nigeria. Why should governors, who are the numero in their different states.
All right.
Why should few of them be siphoning the money? It is criminal. We are not going to allow it.
Okay, Senator Nwoye,
let me alert you. That's
a very quick one before before my main question. Since you always proceed with scientific evidence, besides Anambra State, do you have evidence to the effect that other state governors, and you can mention them, are using state assemblies to legislate that local government should send funds to a special consolidated revenue account?
Okay. I interface with few persons, directly and indirectly, from Anambra government. They say that what they are doing, that some few governors have sent the executive bill to their state assembly. I don't know whether that passes or not. I say, okay, give me the evidence. They have not come to the evidence. But maybe they want to test run using Anambra State. Maybe a few of them want to test run using Anambra State. So the one I'm sure of is Anambra State that's already passed the law. They sent it before I raised the alarm by doing a press conference last week. They have not passed the law. They just passed it a few days ago. 3 different accounts. Section 13, 14, Section 16 of the new law of Anambra State government. I remember I said in page 34 of this judgment by Supreme Court, Justice Agim said, no law of state assembly, no law. These are wise men and the woman who saw tomorrow, because they know that this is what's going to happen. Should violate this our judgment.
All right. So during that deliberation,
answer to your question.
Okay, land on that point. Land on that point.
In direct answer to your question, as of now, the one we are sure that they are doing, that state government has already done, is that of Anambra State, in flagrant disobedience to judgment of Supreme Court. But my motion did not mention any state, because I know that they want to use Anambra State to test run. Maybe it's possible that 1 or 2 or 3 other states have already started their own.
Okay.
But the one who have empirical fact, who have the law, is Anambra State.
So during that deliberation on the floor of the Senate, Senator Adamu Alero raised the motion that the Senate should not be debating a matter that had already been decided by the Supreme Court. I wonder what informed that decision, since senators, like other legislators, are representatives of their people. So what interest?
Alero clarify his position. Let me inform you, my sister Bukola. When we enter the executive section, I'm not supposed to discuss what we discussed in our executive section. It's confidential, it's for the public interest. But know that 90% of senators agreed to the motion. But what Senator Lelo said was that this matter, he clarified himself. He said, this matter is not a matter to be discussed at all. We should pass a resolution immediately to stop or to condemn any governor, any state government who wants to disobey this judgment. That is what Aguero was trying to say. He was trying to emphasize the finality of Supreme Court judgment. The finality, that's section 287. That was his point of order. He said, what are they doing? What are they saying? That any judgment of Supreme Court is binding. Is binding on everybody. So that what the Senate should do is just to pass a resolution, not even to start discussing pro and con. So pass a resolution to say, don't tamper with this money. Don't do any law. State government, don't do any law against judgment. That was, so Senator Alero Adamu, being a former governor, being a very ranking senator, was 100% in support. But people try to misinform or try to misunderstand what his point of order. His point of order was that this is the final judgment. That if the governors are not comfortable with the judgment, let them go to court, to Supreme Court, to say, revise yourself. That was the essence of what Senator Alero was saying. So Senator Alero was 100% in support of what the motion was all about.
So people have always raised concerns over the motions of the Senate, what bite it really has at the end of the day. On the one hand, there's a Supreme Court judgment, right? And it's clear that everyone and anyone should obey it. But if you say that some of the states are now finding ways around it, I think you mentioned Anambra. It will be good to hear if there are other states specifically. But just how much bite will the Senate's motion have? How far are you willing to go to ensure that the judgment of the Supreme Court is obeyed? I should say again that there are at least 10 governors or former governors thereabouts in the Senate today. So a lot of them have an understanding of how these things run. Again, most of them didn't do what was meant to be done constitutionally regarding local government. So perhaps this is a way to repair the things they did in the past or not. But speak to us, how far is the Senate willing to go to enforce this if it is able to do that?
Okay, my brother, you see, let me inform you. The former governors in our midst, like Senator Alero, the Senate President, Senator Bello from Niger, former governor, the Senator Dixon, Seriaki, former ever. These people gave examples of what happened when they were governors. They never tampered with these local government funds. They said it there. It was very clear. And they set it as an example. Let me tell you, we have passed a resolution. I remember that not only resolution, in page 55 of this Supreme Court judgment, I mean the lead judgment by Justice Agim, the paragraph relief 13 granted by Supreme Court, they say this judgment is binding. We are giving an order of injunction, binding on state government officials, binding on other public officers. We, the Senate, will pass resolution. We know that few governors, like my own governor, my big brother and my senior friend, very senior in all ramifications, an erudite professor of economic, world acclaimed, we know that they are recalcitrant, that they want to still progress, to siphon money meant for the grassroots against the Supreme Court judgment. We are not going to hold our arms and allow the Supreme Court judgment to be bastardized, because few persons came into office by the Supreme Court judgment, either by Pine Kuriam or not. Pine Kuriam means in error, Supreme Court has given judgment. Remember, some of us are an activist too. We have been active before we came to Senate. Be rest assured that we are going to use every means within the ambit of the law to ensure that this shock, Justice Adumen More, his own contribution judgment, says shock that the governors, some of them, not all, have used on local government to make it like the colony, use the word colony, that governors have subjected local government as their own colony, that making them reluctant and going to extinction. So my direct answer to your question is that we are going to use every means. Even means, I will not say it on this television now, but those means will be within the ambit of the law to stop the likes of my own governor from siphoning the money. Because go and check your record today. The highest problem we are facing today is the problem of youth restiveness, the problem of insecurity, the problem of unemployment. Occasioned by what? Occasioned by these few governors siphoning and diverting local government funds meant for the people at the grassroots level. So we are going to engage them. Senate has passed their resolution. It's left for them to implement or not. Supreme Court has given their judgment, which is the most important. Supreme Court judgment is more important than any other thing you're talking about. And it's binding on everybody. So we are, as an activist I'm sorry, I'm not talking as a senator now. I'm not the Senate spokesperson. There's a Senate spokesperson, Senator Yemi from Ekiti, who is very elderly, who is more senior to
Senator Nwoye
together. But we rest assured that we're going to use every means within the law to stop them. I'm saying it with authority.
All right.
We're going to stop them. We're not going to allow Professor Governor Chomosoludo and his likes to continue siphoning the money meant for the grassroots.
Well, Senator Nwoye, we look forward to hearing.
Listen, brother, wait. Supreme Court said it to. Let me inform you now. It's information. Don't be offended.
Please go ahead.
Supreme Court said in page 28 there is no joint ownership. This money is meant for them. They should take their own. They are taking their own. Let them leave this one for them. We are not going to allow them for them to say go to court and challenge it. Which court? The final court in the land has decreed, has given their decision. We are not going to allow them. I can assure you that one. And I'm happy that the Senate, 10th Senate, led by Senator Godswill Akpabio, is determined. And let me tell you, this is the highest legacy so far that this present government, led by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, has executed.
All right.
By having the strong way.
Well, Senator Nwoye, let me come in now.
To allow his.
Right, pardon me. Let me just come in now.
To institute action.
Right. So let me come in quickly. Of course, we look forward to hearing the side of the Anambra State Governor on this one. I know he had spoken about this autonomy, speaking about what happens in other climes and how he expects this to be done. Right. So maybe he had never really hidden his own perspective towards this judgment. But let's speak to this point. Anambra State had the local government elections. ABGA won all 21 local governments and 326 wards. Clearly, Labour Party did not win anything. And the question then is this fight, this activism by you and your colleagues, you spearheading it, or at least raising the alarm, is this about political power, saying that your party did not really do well in the election and you're like, you can't just have it all. We need to have a share of this. Or is this really for the people? Because again, the government can say, you see, the people have voted us. They voted for our local government chair. So they basically want our party to continue. They like our policies and the laws we're implementing. So what is the motivation? Is this because you didn't win in that election or for the people?
My brother, I'm happy you asked this question. Labour Party did not participate. APC did not participate. They're even in court now. Labour Party, which I belong to, did not participate in the election. APC did not participate because we had intelligence, incredible intelligence, that the state governor has written list of all his caretaker, all. He returned all his transition chairmen, deputy chairman, and councillors, all. No primary by ABGA, no election. But that was not my go of grass. So our grass that he did not allow election. He had written names of his transition chairmen, councillors, all through. Go and check the record. All through. That is why APC and Labour Party boycotted. And they are in court before the 10th. But we are saying that those names he has written as councillors and council chairmen, sworn in, allow them to manage their money. So
pardon me, Senator Nwoye, just to be clear, pardon me to quickly come in here.
Wait, let me inform you.
No, I need to get clarification. You would land, when you say the names he wrote, do you mean the names that were submitted to the State Electoral Commission to vie in that election? Or you mean they wrote results? Do you mean they wrote the results or they wrote...
Their transition.
Okay.
My brother, let me inform you. Their transition councillors, transition caretaker, he has been running. Anambra State has existed for 14 years. Africa government, 14 years and 6 months. They only did election only once, 2014 January. So Anambra State has been there for 10 years, Africa government without local government election. Now, he now wrote names of all his transition and caretaker people, all, no primary, no election. The Labour Party and APC went to court before then to challenge the procedure. So, if there's anybody to keep quiet, it's we. Because the entire people who are going to benefit with this struggle is all people. ABGA transition chairman, who he has converted to elected council chairman by his own nomenclature of election, which I'm not going there. Let him, those people, he has announced names. They are told INSEC to announce names. Let them benefit. So we are the one fighting for them to benefit, to use their money, is something that should be applauded. We are saying that these 326 councillors and 21 local government chairman and deputy chairman that the INSEC has announced, either by election or whatever, allow them to use their money. Why is it that the governor does not trust them to use their money? You have announced them through the INSEC. Allow them to make use of their money. So it is even more patriotic that somebody from another party is raising the alarm. APC will not benefit from it. APC Anambra, Labour Party will not benefit from it because we don't have even one councillor. No problem. He said that we are not existing in Anambra. No problem. Allow them to enjoy their money. It's not his money. Supreme Court has said that this money is not belong to state government or federal government. It belongs to local government. So people who are going to benefit, who are going to operate this money is people. But who will benefit eventually if it's released? The Anambarians. Because let me tell you, poverty does not know religion, does not know political party. In this subject matter, we are saying, Governor Chukwuma Soludo, world-acclaimed economics, stop siphoning money meant for local government. Release the money to them. You have announced names through the INSEC.
Senator Nwoye,
those names you have announced through INSEC.
Senator Nwoye,
make use of this money.
It will be important to mention at this point that there is no evidence yet that the governor of Anambra State has siphoned local government funds. I believe you do not have evidence to present to us. So a word of caution. A word of caution here, particularly because the governor is not here to also defend some of the allegations that you are leveling at this point. But you said earlier that the former governors who are now senators in this current assembly, 10th assembly, they're in support of local government autonomy, and they never siphon funds. Would the Senate be willing, in the interest of the public, to conduct an audit into their accounts while they were governors to determine that indeed they did not siphon local government autonomies during their tenures as governors?
Okay, Bukola, Senator Bello from Niger, former governor, told the Senate that he never touched this money. That's what he told us. Senator Seriki Dixon, who was a former governor, said so. Senator Adamu Alero, who was a former governor, said so. That was what they told us. In the case of my own state, I'm saying that ABGA-led government, not only his present government, after all, when he came, he just came 2 years and 6 months, that the practice has been this money will come, they will pay salaries and use the other one as they like, as a shook. I challenge anyone to a debate here for me to provide facts and figures to show that our money are being diverted. Different local governments in Anambra, not only, it didn't start from Governor Soludo, it has been practiced under ABGA-led government. I challenge them to a debate in channels or anywhere they want, even in Anambra, even in government house. Let me invite me, let me come with empirical facts and evidence. But that, I'm not being particular in Anambra because you asked me a particular state. Remember that my motion has nothing to do with Anambra. I didn't mention Anambra in my motion. I never threw out my motion from beginning to end.
Senator Nwoye,
I want to.
You've mentioned Anambra at least dozens of times on this show this morning. So you may not have mentioned it, but you have mentioned Anambra. In fact, you have centered on Anambra today.
No,
right,
wait now.
Go ahead, please.
Yeah, I mentioned Anambra on this program. No, but I say my motion. I can send a soft copy of my motion. My motion on the Senate did not mention any state. It's for the entire Nigeria. I moved my motion. My motion never mentioned any state. It's only in channels that I mentioned Anambra.
All right.
Because you asked me too. Remember that asked me, Bukola. Remember that he asked me which states, and I said the one has already passed the law. 3 different accounts.
So let's make progress, Senator Nwoye. But suffice it to mention here that it will be instructive to see evidence that the former governors who are now senators can present evidence that they didn't siphon funds during their tenure as governor, local government funds. But during that motion yesterday, the Senate also said that it is willing to carry out alterations to the Constitution to firm up local government autonomy. But we know that this will also go to all of the 36 state assemblies. So are you willing to also carry out, to go the extra mile in your legal pursuit to ensure that this local government autonomy becomes, indeed backed up by the Constitution, such that there are no more loopholes that can be exploited by state assemblies?
Well, the Senate will pass the Joint National Assembly. I'm optimistic that they're going to pass some alterations as it concerns amendment. But at the same time, they have to go to state assemblies for 2/3 concurrence. So when it goes there, whatever happens, I cannot predict. I cannot stand in this studio and predict what will happen. But what I can predict is that for sure, the National Assembly, 10th National Assembly, Senate and House of Rep, will pass some alterations through amendment. But it must go for concurrence by state assembly. So whatever happens there, I can't predict it.
Okay.
But my only concern now is that the judgment that Supreme Court has passed, not about Anambra, as I said, I'll give you a soft copy, Bukola, of my motion. It has nothing to do with Anambra. But you have asked me, although I had mentioned Anambra earlier, I had a state that has already done it. That is why I mentioned Anambra.
Right.
That is why I never said whether Anambra did a free and fair election or not. I never went to any studio before now to mention whether the election was free and fair or not. Even the floor of Senate, it didn't concern me.
Right.
That was not my business. My business that they have done the election. Those people are entitled to their money. They are all ABGA councillors. But their councillors, they are Anambarians, whether ABGA or Labour Party, they're all Anambra. Let them enjoy their money.
And in any case, Senator Nwoye,
let them use their money to work for our people.
Right. In any case, you have described Governor Soludo as your very, very senior brother whom you respect a lot. So I imagine that, I mean, you have a relationship with him to that extent. But let's stretch this conversation.
I must confess, I have.
Right.
I have.
So I imagine you can also...
Other one for that matter.
Right. So you can speak to him and say, well, what I think you're doing is not right. And a lot of people, the comments they're saying is, okay, if the Senate has discovered this, then we need to really act fast, right? So that at least the Senate can write its own names in sands of time and basically etch it in stone, right? But let's speak to this point. The Labour Party has a governor, Governor Alex Otti, in Abia State. And I wonder if you're also curious about what your own governor is doing with local government funds. Is he siphoning it, as you have alleged, for Anambra State? Certainly you are concerned, and I imagine you've had a conversation with him as well.
I don't know. I don't know what he's doing with the local government funds. I don't know. I've not done any inquisition about it. I will not hold brief for him. Even the senators who were governors, like Governor Bello, like Dixon, and others, I say what they told us, so I can't hold brief for them. Let me talk with empirical facts. That of Anambra, I'm talking with empirical fact. For Abia, to be specific, yes, the governor is doing his best, just like Governor Soludo is doing his best in infrastructure, payment of salaries and co. But in terms of what he does with the local government funds, I don't know. I've never done any inquisition on that matter. That is my answer to that.
Okay, I know you're referring to that, and just to place all of this on the table, you're referring to that bill, a new bill that was introduced, I think the Anambra Local Government Administration Law 2024. Am I correct?
Yes.
Okay, good. So have you read through that law from maybe back to back, front to back, rather?
Yes, I've read this substantially.
Okay,
substantially.
So let's speak to some of the things you saw, and that can form some sort of evidence in these conversations. And we expect that the Anambra State government will also speak to this.
Read section 13, 14, 16, and 17.
They'll speak to us.
Read it if you have the law there.
Tell Nigerians, what does that say? What do those sections say?
What the law is saying,
the proposed law, yeah.
That if they receive money from Foundation account, that within 2 days of the receipt of the money from Foundation account, within 2 days, they should pay it into a consolidated account, joint by local government and the state. That is number one. That within 2 days of receiving the money, that is in flagrant disobedience to judgment of Supreme Court that says don't pay to any government agencies or anything, or creation of any law by state assembly. That is number one. Number two, I think section 14 now saying that they will now determine a percentage. They will determine a percentage. How the money will be shared. State assembly will now make law. That is, as I said, that I didn't come to studio with the judgment, with the law. Then another one is saying that, section 16 or so, that 20% of that money that came from Abuja for each account, we're not talking about IGR, is the one that federal government is bossy, so that 20% of it will go to what they call Joint Security Trust Fund. Joint Security Trust Fund, 20% of that money will be extracted. And who will be chairman is the special advisor to governor, to be chairman or to manage that 20% that will be deducted.
All right.
You understand? So
Senator Nwoye,
these are three major highlights.
If we
and check page, sorry, Bukola.
Yes. So if we get the point of what you've been saying all along, you have in fact averred that portions of that Supreme Court judgment by Justice Emmanuel Agim has anticipated and indeed covered what state assemblies may try to do. To siphon funds, quote and unquote, without.
God bless you.
So my question is, who is duty bound to enforce this in case other state assemblies try to exploit this their office?
The Attorney General of Federation and the EFCC, ICPC, and NFIU, because in page 55 of this judgment, under relief 12 and relief 13 of the judgment, lead judgment by Justice Agim, he said an order of injunction compelling for compliance by state governors, their agent privy, and public officers. So ICPC is a public officer, EFCC is a public officer, NFI are public officers, Attorney General of Federation is a public officer. So it's under the relief sought granted by Justice Agim, his own part of judgment. So in this subject matter, answering your question is ICPC, NFIU, EFCC, and Attorney General of Federation, because they are trying to disobey the judgment.
Right.
And just like I already said, Bukola, the Supreme Court justices knew that this is what we're going to do. That's why they say no state law, no state assembly should ever do a law to circumvent this our judgment.
All right.
By creating anything in the name of joint anything.
Well, Senator, on a final note, I know that this conversation is far from over, and I imagine that a lot of people in states are watching, and local governments are watching, and also perhaps wondering what is being done with the funds, and hopefully they will follow up. But I understand that Premium Times had reached out to the Commissioner for Information in Anambra State, Mr. Lomefo, who said that Section 7 of the Constitution empowers, states, houses of assembly to make laws regulating local government. And he argued that the Constitution empowers the state governments to oversee the affairs of local government, both in administration and finance. In fact, in his words, he said that if we don't do that, any of these young local government chairmen can decide to play around with what they will consider their own priorities. So he says that, well, this is their own way of overseeing and sort of safeguarding the finances of local governments. Your final words on that one. Okay. Answer to your question. These arguments and other arguments were canvassed by state governments before Supreme Court. I read their arguments. They canvassed before Supreme Court. Supreme Court now took all these arguments and dismissed them and gave a consolate judgment in each of them. They said, no, that was not the intent of the Constitution. That the Constitution in section 162, 3 and 5 provided for 3 tiers, no joint ownership, that they should not even come near this money. Then now, answering to your issue of this young local government chairmen, listen to me, they don't have immunity. They don't have immunity. Some people have been holding sway to their money for a long time. They are supposed to use to develop the grassroots. The local government chairman doesn't have immunity. So if they don't do what they're supposed to do with the money, public money, the security agencies will be there. The NFIU, ICPC, and EFCC, they will not wait for 4 years or 2 years for their time to finish their tenure. They will invite them immediately. There is a public money. So that argument is just an excuse to continue doing what they were doing before. Right.
That is what Supreme Court, in their wisdom, said, this era you have done for 20 years is over. We are going to stop you. And they stopped them. But they now want to use a flimsy excuse. These are members of their party. They now don't trust them that they will do what is correct. So if they don't do what is correct with this public funds from federal government, we, the citizens of different states, I don't want to be particular in Anambra, we use every available means to call any local government chairman to order who refuses to use this money for the benefit of what the money comes from. So the argument that my brother, Mefo, which I respect so much, the Honorable Commissioner, is just a fallacy, a ruse, a subterfuge. They want to keep on taking this money.
All right. Well, Senator Nwoye, it's good to hear the respect you have for these men, both the governor, the commissioner, and others. But we have to thank you so much.
But I respect them so much.
Very much.
I respect them so much.
I understand that. Senator Tony Nwoye.
Sorry, I want to correct an impression, my brother.
We have to anchor now.
I'm doing he has no party affiliation.
All right.
What I'm saying is that these people that have been elected in quote, either by proper election or not, they have been elected.
All right, Senator Tony Nwoye, we have to
allowed to function.
We have to go now. Again, you are doing it out of respect. So we have to thank you so much, Senator Tony Nwoye, LP Anambra North, who says he's not just a lawmaker, he's also an activist on this one. And I do hope that this will raise a bigger conversation on local governance in the country. Thank you so much for your time on the program.
Thank you.